Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review here for a movie that I have not seen in such a long time. I just rewatched it for the first time in probably 10 years, and I love this movie. I've had this DVD copy for ages, man, because of how much I enjoyed it in the mid-2000s when it came out. This is a review for the 2006 Kane, the Wrestler, starring movie, See No Evil. Now, I just watched this and See No Evil 2 back to back. I watched this one about a week and a half ago, and immediately right around that time after it, I watched See No Evil 2 for the first time ever. And I had heard a lot of good things, but I'm going to be upfront with you. I hated it so much I want to get both of these reviews done, because I never want to talk about See No Evil 2 again, nor do I ever want to have to sit through it again, because it was so damn bad. But that's just me. That's just a spoiler for the next review I'm about to make. See No Evil, however, being a 2006 hour and like 25-minute long movie, it's still as good, a little flawed, but still as good as I remember it being, and I had a great time rewatching it. I've always been a fan of Kane when I used to watch wrestling in like 2005 to like 2007 or 8. Kind of fell out over the years, never really watched anything more from that point onward. But Kane was one of the ones like The Undertaker, like Cena, like Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Rey Mysterio. I was a part of that era of wrestling, so that's who I liked. But Kane was one of the really cool ones, and this is one of the movies that made my family a fan of Kane. Even though they didn't watch wrestling, they now knew who he was from this point on. This is like the first WWE Pictures thriller movie, even though it's more of a horror slasher than anything. They had done like The Marine, they had done, I think 12 Rounds was the second movie they made, I believe. But they had done different things like that, and I love those because of John Cena. Well, 12 Rounds is weak, but you know what I mean. And this was like the first horror movie they made. And I really think to this day, even now rewatching it, that it's a really nice setting and location for a slasher film, being a huge horror fan. Now, basically, I have to start off with the prologue of this movie. It takes place 4 years previous to the main storyline, following a cop answering a call to go investigate a situation. I think it was at a small house or a trailer, if I remember correctly. Again, it's been like a week or two since I saw it, so I can't really remember all the details about the beginning because that's not what you're really here for. But Jacob Goodnight, played by Kane, jumps out, chops this cop's arm off, and he manages to use his one good arm to get one good shot at Jacob Goodnight, and Jacob escapes. Now this cop has to go the next 4 years following into our main storyline, being relocated in kind of a delinquent's security officer job, sort of, like in a prison, sort of, kinda. But he has one arm now, which really sucks, dude. That was a horrifying scene. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would feel like, losing a limb, you know? I hope I'd never have to do that, because for the people who've been through that, that's pretty horrifying, you know, especially in a situation like this. But anyway, so this cop now has to take a group of teens on this trip, and like I said, they're delinquents, so they're drug addicts, they're prostitutes, they're all kinds of things. They have to go on a trip to this abandoned-looking hotel and clean it up and stuff, because that's to get some time off of their sentences. And I gotta tell you, I like the casting for everybody. I don't know if I like the writing for everybody. Kane is your typical, not really speaking slasher. He's kind of a little bit of a schizo crazy. The lady who is like the landlord, owner, cleaner lady that's kind of leading the teams around the place to clean up that hotel, she's a little weirdly written as well, but by the end it kind of works a little bit better, I guess. The teens, I actually think, are not really relatable, nor should they be. There's one particular chick who has a tattoo down her back, and I'm a guy who's not even crazy about tattoos on people, or girls for that matter, and man, she is fine. There's a shower scene with her. Good lord. Anyway, so Kane also happens to be inside of this hotel, and he begins to go after everybody who have shown up to do this cleaning and stuff. And the kids have to like stay overnight in this place too, so like they have to go to bed and sleep in these weird gross beds and stuff. Every wall looks like 50 smokers stayed in each room for like a day, smoking non-stop, pack after pack after pack, because all the walls are like oily and orange and brown and shit. They got mold and stains on them. It's really nasty, but that really works at a time where Saw was such a popular franchise. It had just kicked off for a few movies. I think we were at like part 3 or 4 when this came out. This was at a time that they were trying to make more things like this. Matter of fact, I think Lionsgate made this movie, if I remember correctly, working with WWE. So it kind of fits to have this feel of like the Saw franchise. That dirty, grimy mid-2000s look to horror was great. I miss it quite a bit. This pulls through on that, in my personal opinion. But this setting of the hotel, I think, works so well for this movie. It's a new kind of thing we don't really see for slashers. We've seen wax museums, we've seen hospitals, we've seen all kinds of things over the years, but you don't really see things like this very often, outside of like Psycho. And Psycho was kind of just like a rundown motel, not like a big old floor after floor after floor hotel that could be like 6 floors, 8 floors, 10 floors, whatever. This is a pretty big place. We don't see a lot of stuff like that very often, and I think it really makes this movie even better, despite there being quite a bit of CGI in here to enhance kills, or to be like if somebody's falling off a balcony or something, they use a lot of CGI for that. That shit sucks. But everything else, especially the practical kills, dude, the practical effects when they're used for this movie, they look magnificent. They add so much to this movie, and Kane being like 10 feet tall and like 500 pounds in a big muscular way, not in like a me way, he's threatening. He's really good. He was always threatening in the ring playing the Kane character, but Glenn Jacobs is killer here as Jacob Goodnight. I think he's so fun to watch. The way he goes after people, how he does certain things, it's not like an original Michael Myers, like from the OG Halloween from '78. It's not like he's thinking through how he's gonna fuck with you. He just comes in, he does what he wants, and some of the kills are a little bit more creative than I've ever expected out of this movie. It's why it won my family and I over to it years ago when we watched it. But it just does so much with not a huge budget at all. And I think the returns on this was pretty solid. I think it made some decent money, which I think it also deserved quite a bit. The soundtrack is not great. It doesn't have like an amazing score or anything to really win you off on that. And there's a lot of flashbacks to Jacob Goodnight's past, which I thought was fairly interesting as a motive. It's like a weird spin on Friday the 13th if it was a tad bit more sexual, I want to say, if that makes sense. If you've seen the film, you probably know what I'm saying with that. But See No Evil overall, I really dig it. I can't believe people don't talk more about this to this day. I'm kind of randomly, interestingly enough, seeing more reviews pop up for this for the last couple of weeks, and I don't really know why. I guess everybody's just in the mood to rewatch this after almost 20 years of it being out, which is crazy as hell to say out loud, but it's true. We're all old. The sequel is now 10 years old as of this year, so that's pretty wild. Anyway, so See No Evil, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I really enjoy this. I think I enjoy it more than most people, but I recommend it highly too. It's one of those really good horror hidden gems for slashers like Dark Ride or Tourist Trap that people just don't talk about, and it deserves so much more credit, but dear God, the sequel does not. I'll get to that when I review it in the next video, so tune in for that if you will. I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it's got some messy CGI. Yeah, the acting isn't always great, but I think most of these characters I enjoy. For what they're trying to do, and the bad kids, like the really worst of the bad kids, they're enjoyable to hate, you know? They kind of take a spin on one that I like a little bit. So anyway, See No Evil, what do you think about it? What do you think about its sequel? Put all your thoughts down below. And again, if you haven't seen it before, jump in on that, dude. It's everywhere. It's always like on Tubi and I think on Shudder too. Great watch. Really gory too, surprisingly enough. So that's great. It always wins me over too. Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.